All right. So, Carl, if you want to give a quick review of San Diego State after looking at the film, and then also talk about the developments with Nate Landman today, and then we'll take questions.
Well, Nate's doing all his work on his own, so he's done a great job. But you know, we had our meetings with our players last week or last night on our game on Saturday. You know, we at a consensus felt like the San Diego State's a really good team, particularly on the defensive side. You know, they've done a tremendous job with their scheme. You know, it's been um, a very good scheme for them for a number of years, even when Rocky Long was the head coach. And, you know, they're pretty stingy on defense. And, you know, we had some hard-earned yards in the rushing game with, with our run game and with Jarek. And, he kind of made some plays, really when plays weren't made in terms of blocked very well. So he's done a nice job with finding creases and finding ways to extend more yards. And, you know, that's what probably makes him special is that he's able to see those things and adjust and have good vision about finding creases and things like that. So, you know, we felt defensively they were a really good team. We knew offensively they've been struggling with their quarterback position. They've had a number of players playing quarterback. And I think anytime, just like for myself, a first-year head coach and a new quarterback and, you know, trying to get their offensive rhythm and system, you know, to a consistent level has been, you know, a big part of their challenge probably most of the season. And, you know, obviously defensively we've gotten much, much better. I think the work over I guess we can call it the kind of the bye week or the pause week, we worked on a lot of issues to try to fix a lot of things. And I think it was evident that a lot of those things were shored up, and we played much better and great coverage scheme. And, you know, we felt like our front's continually getting better and the depth is getting better up front. So we feel like the process on the defensive side is really doing some very positive things for us, you know, as we're working through this season. So we're hoping to continue that trend and, you know, particularly getting some things resolved offensively. You know, we'll get a chance to get a couple players hopefully back this week, and we'll see how the week goes that we're missing in the last game, and we'll go from there. But you know, it was a good win. Like I mentioned to you guys before, you know, all we had with our players was one big walkthrough, and then they had to play, and I felt like they made all the adjustments that we needed to make that was given in our game plan going against USC. We had to obviously quickly revamp everything, and I thought our players responded and did a good job. So we're fortunate to get the win. We got the win, so now we're off to the Arizona week, and hopefully everything goes according to plan this week. Now, in terms of Nate Landman, you know, Nate's been a really good player prior to me being here. I'm glad that he's off to a tremendous start, you know, in this season right now. He's playing very well, and, you know, you guys all know he's one of our leaders of our, not only of the defense, but of our football team. He embodies everything that I envision our program to be. You know, he shows the commitment, the toughness, the work study, everything that gets him and allows him to play at a high level. You know, he's a great example of what I envision this program to be in a short period of time, to everyone having that type of likeness. So very proud of what he's done. I know that in his mind, he knows he can be better, which is, you know, I think a great attribute for a player of his caliber. And we're just hoping he continues his play over the next, you know, few games, you know, and we'll see how that works out. But the things that he's garnered for himself is well deserved, you know, on his part. And we're hoping that people recognize that. So, and it looks like there is some recognition going on. So we're very proud of him, and hopefully we can continue to get a number of players playing at that level.
Start with the man with the most scenic background today, Neil Welk.
Hey, Karl, you mentioned the hard-earned yards by Jarrett Broussard. Is that something that you remember as being part of the DNA of Colorado football when you were here the first time around, and something you're trying to maybe reinstate as part of the identity of this program?
I would say it's probably a faction of that, Neil. We want to be a team that's very balanced on offense, and have the ability to run the football, have the ability to have some great passing concepts, and getting some plays in our passing game. So I think for the most part, that's the style of play that I think is really important for us, is to have that balance. To be able to make sure the defense is defending all areas of what we do from an offensive perspective. I think the same thing defensively. We know that we have to be good against the run. We have to be good in coverage. We're making a number of positive changes and improvements in those areas on our defensive side. So, it's definitely working in that direction, Neil, where, we want a sound system of play, where we're playing hard, we're playing physical, we're that's kind of the attributes that I want this program to be, and we're working really progressively in that direction.
Let's go to Brian Howell.
Hey, Karl, good to see you. Your program was handed plenty of excuses to not have a good season and to not play well last week, especially. You have said often that you're not going to use excuses. I'm curious how much you feel like your team has taken on that approach with you, and how critical that's been to your success to this point.
It's been a big part. There's no question, Brian, on that. We, from day one, with the thought process in mind that this team felt like they were capable of winning and having success right now. That was in my very first press conference with this football team when I had my first team meeting, and I think what we came out of that meeting was that to do those things we got to work hard and really trust ourselves in what we're doing and having great preparations and not use any of these outside elements as any deterrent to our success of what we're trying to build in our program. So yes, I didn't want to make excuses early. We don't make excuses. We're going to do the best we can with what we have in our program, and we feel we have very capable players, and they're proving that. And we're just trying to build the depth, build the standard of how we play. Everything is really geared on, maximizing our potential with what we have here in this building. So that's the mindset I think the whole team understands and is bought into. Everybody has a role. Everybody has something to do that they can help us be better. And I think the team has kind of bought into that mindset.
Justin Guerrero.
Hey, Coach, with Kari having a number of snaps on the lower side Saturday, have you and Coach Rod been able to sit down and maybe just kind of work towards a diagnosis at all, maybe why he might be struggling there, and also just how to get him corrected on that moving forward?
All of those things, Justin, we're really working on with Kari, and his body of work. And you're right, we struggled some with some of the exchanges in the game, particularly this last game. And we're working to really try to get those things eliminated, or at least minimized as best we can. He's not a natural center. That's not a position he's played extensively, but he's done. He's made those adjustments very well for us offensively because of need, and he's a really good player. And we wouldn't put it just anybody at center that if we didn't think that could handle it. We know that he can handle it. It's just him getting kind of more work. More intensive work on some of those elements. And he's willing to do whatever it takes for us to be successful until we get our health back. And so we're going to continue to work on that process of helping him, get the, particularly the snapping and things like that, just helping him get those things addressed, as we go along, and hopefully get better and better each week.
Adam Munster Tiger.
Hi, Coach. What's your philosophy behind giving the players Mondays off, and what does a typical in-season Sunday practice look like for you guys?
Well, Sundays, it's our film day to, go over our corrections and adjustments and all those things that, we want to address right away after a game to kind of get them talked about and get them fixed and then move forward to the next week. So that's the Sunday is built for that, and it's also built for we call restoration, which is, getting our guys in the training room, getting through the recovery pools, doing all the prehab things to get them ready for the next week. So Sunday's a big day for that. They're here most of the day on Sunday just doing stuff like that. So it's not practice, but it's more just getting ready for the next coming week. And then Monday's a big game plan week for the coaches, So we use Monday for primarily getting our plans together, particularly on the early part of the preparation, and getting the base systems right the way we want it for that opponent. And then we get a chance to practice and continue to game plan and put things in as the week unfolds. So that's kind of how the process works for us. I know a lot of teams do it differently. That's just a way that I've done it that's probably more NFL driven, which what I've been in the last 12 years. But I think it works well. I think it works well where they get a chance to recover. It gives us a chance to work. And the work we do on the field, we try not to waste any reps. So we do everything in a fashion that that allows for us to be fresh and ready to go at the end of the week.
Rod Mackey.
Yeah, Coach, I know you talked to answer Brian's question about no excuses, but how about the confidence you've seen from your team? When you see this kind of success early on, I'm sure you can see a difference in their confidence as the season progresses.
Absolutely, Rod. You see that, and that's what you want. You want your usually when you're having success and you're winning games, and even though they haven't been perfect wins in terms of there's great perfect execution, there's standards that we're trying to establish in our style of play, in every phase. So, we're, the confidence is getting better, and rightfully so. It should be. We're a good football team. We know that we can be better. We always point out the things that need to be addressed and fixed and worked on to get us to be better in everything that we do. So with that being said, it's, I think our confidence and our growth is actually growing faster because we are having success. We are finding ways to win. And even though it hasn't been perfect, it's been, I think they see the big picture, I guess, the big picture of what it should look like. And we're trying to, as coaches, continue to sharpen and hone in on those systems so that we're playing as efficiently and as effectively as we can.
Back to Brian Howell.
Hey, Coach, I have a two-part question about the running back position. We've seen Jaron Mangum be that number 2 back, and I know he struggled a little bit, but I don't think he played the other night. What are you seeing out of him that didn't allow him to get on the field the other day? And then also, how difficult is it to spread the ball around and keep guys happy when you've got so much talent like Ashad and Jaron and Joe and all those guys?
Well, it's a good problem to have in a lot of ways, but I know it's frustrating probably from the players' end because you're right. We do have good depth in the backfield. We have a lot of confidence in all of those guys. And, that position, if you guys know, and even at any level, it doesn't really matter. You want to keep the hot guy going, if that makes any sense. So, Jarek has been tremendous these first 3 games. And, so he's definitely a big part of our success and, in terms of how we're able to run the football. But, those other guys, they have to be ready when their number's called. But, that's kind of the nature of that position. It's usually some type of rotation there. We have 4 really good quality running backs. We had 2 that played last week, and we didn't get the other 2 in. But the goal is to try to get everybody a chance to get a chance to show themselves, and sometimes it doesn't quite go out on paper as what you would want it to in the course of a game. but it is difficult, I believe, on the player side, because I understand they want to prove and show that they have the ability to help this team, and you want that attitude. You want them to be determined and driven and confident that they can do that. So it is something that's it's difficult to manage, and we got to continue to massage that as we continue to move forward. And the best thing that we can do, though, is to make sure we're in constant communication as to what our process is and why it is, and they do have an understanding of why. Jarek's playing well. Jarek he's proven that up to this point, so he's a big part of that. And then I know that all the other guys are hungry to get in there too. So it's one of those things that it's a good problem to have, but also I understand the player side of it. I do.
If I can a quick follow of that, with Joe Davis being that number 2 guy right now, or at least last week, is that a product of just the work that he's put in?
It is, and I think we judge it really week to week. If guys are having great weeks of practice, and he's had a great week of practice last week, and I put him in the 2 spot last week, and so same thing can happen with Jaren, same thing can happen with Ashad, and both those guys everybody's really playing hard and practicing hard to prove that they've already proven to us that they're capable of very, very good backs that can help us be successful. So, believe me, it's a position that it does get nicked, because of the carries and the pounding that they get a lot of the time. So they do understand that, their number can be called at any point in time, and you just don't know how it can happen after the first play of a game, where someone goes down and then someone has to step up. So that's the better part of that, is that we do have the depth that we feel that can keep us moving in a fashion that can keep us rolling systematically. But it is one of those things that they just have to be ready when their number's called, and they understand it. But it is judged during the week, Brian, in terms of how good the practices they've had, and we kind of end the week by figuring out, okay, we're going to roll out with so and so and so and so. We'll judge it by the preparation, their practices, and then what it looks like at the end of the week in terms of how the rotation should start.
Justin Guerrera.
Coach, is there anything you might be able to tell us on the status of Chris Miller, who left the game on Saturday, and also Jalen Sami, who played significantly less snaps than we'd seen him play in the first 2 games?
Well, yeah, so we got guys that are a little bit nicked. Chris has been dealing with with his shoulder injury for a while, and it set him out a couple games ago, where he missed some time, and he got back into practices the last couple of weeks, and he played again this week, and he kind of dinged it again, so he was out. So that's something that's going to be plaguing Chris for the rest of the season. It's one of those things that he's trying to manage. We're trying to manage for him to get back on the field. So it's still kind of a process of working with him week to week to see where his health is and what we can do with him as we go. With Jalen, the same thing. He had an ankle sprain, and he's fine. He's able to do everything from a productive standpoint for what he needs to do for his position. But we didn't want to put too much on him because he's still a little bit dinged. So it should be better this week, where he'd get more playing time. But that's probably the reason is why we feel we have some depth, and we don't need to play an injured guy if he's not full speed yet, with playing with the other people in our depth. You saw Janaz Jordan play, quite a bit last week, and we're really encouraged by that we're creating the depth in our defensive line. So, we don't want to put players out there that are in harm's way, so to speak, if they can't play at a level that's important for us to be successful, and we feel like we have the depth that can do the job. And I think that was the case in terms of dealing with Jalen, and Janaz had some snaps and he played well. And it's good to know that we have a couple of good inside players in there that in case one gets nicked up, we have another guy that can fill the role and do it well.
And the final one from Brian Hell.
I just wanted to ask your early impressions of Arizona. A lot of times you hear the saying that a wounded animal is sometimes the most dangerous. Can that be the case with a football team as well, that a team that's struggling, you really can't take them lightly, that they can be kind of sneaky dangerous?
Absolutely, Brian. Absolutely. And, they're trying to get themselves right, their ship right and going in the right direction. So, I think they're a very, very good football team, just like they've been, in past years. They just had a little bit of a rough start. I know they had a quarterback issue last game against UCLA where a freshman quarterback came in and played. And so, they are, very capable of having any kind of explosive offensive production at any moment. So we have to make sure we still are defending the offense, in terms of what their capabilities are, try to minimize the big play impacts that they do, understand what they try to do, and try to, set our systems in place to, combat all of those things. So, it does make, any week, particularly a team like them, they can come out in anything that's different. They're at a point where they might try doing different things that they haven't shown yet. So, we have to be aware of those things. We have to. We have an understanding that they're trying to get things in a fashion that's going to allow for them to be successful. So, our goal is to minimize that. Keep them in, doing, basically defending them the way that we need to defend them, so they don't get these types of opportunities to make some plays on us. And then I think offensively, we got enough work to do offensively to shore up some things. And like I mentioned earlier, we've had a few guys missing in terms of injuries, but, we have some guys that have stepped up and are playing and are getting better. And, we got to continue to build our offense to be productive, in the ways that they've been productive. So, but you're definitely right. Arizona's at a point where I'm sure they're trying to create a spark, trying to create something for themselves to get the team back excited about playing and winning and all those things. And we got to do a great job of defending and a great job of producing plays offensively so that we can do the things that were conducive for our success.
And they have had our number in recent years. Thanks, Karl, for joining us. I understand Tyson's lingering by to take the seat next.
You got it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.